Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. Today we have a very exciting guest, Chris Nicholes from Arizona. Chris, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and obviously we have the famous Lester Morris. Lester, how was your holidays?
Super solid, brother, but very excited about this podcast.
So today I wanted to talk about a topic that I think is crucial to any business owner, and that is door knocking, canvassing. I remember when my father, Mark Luderman, the president of CR3 Hanover, started in 2018. He had me go out door knocking. I was starting to he wanted me to experience what it was like being a salesman, what you had to do to become successful as a salesman. And he told me to go out and door knock and learn how to door knock. I thought it was really weird just randomly door knocking on people's houses and trying to sell them something, as expensive as a roof. I didn't realize how important it actually was. So, Chris, I know you're real big into door knocking. I guess just give
Live
us a
by
little
it.
introduction. Give us a little introduction of your company and also why you believe in door knocking so much.
So we're a CR3 branch 19 out in Phoenix, Arizona. So I come from the electrical contractor solar side of things, commercial and residential. So I've done a lot of huge projects, and then we also do a lot of residential as well. But I've always been a hardcore door knocker because that's where I started out as. So um, I started out. I was industrial steel welder forever, and then I was in school for materials engineering. And then I got so high in school that my classes I could only go during my work hours. The professor didn't have any other times a day, so I had to quit welding. And my cousin been doing door knocking. He was in law school and he did door knocking for Vivint, and I'd see him making six figures every 3 4 months over the summertime. He'd go to we're out in Phoenix. He was out here too, and he'd go to Georgia, Florida, stuff like that, and just blitz the summer. So all during the school year, he could just you do his studies. So he hooked me up with his roommate that stayed in Phoenix, and I started knocking doors, and I just became good at it because it is unconventional, kind of like you said, but I have always equated door knocking to fishing. So to me, it's my alone time, and I pick my fishing hole, aka neighborhood, and after the years, you just find good spots in your area. So you got your honey holes, and I go out there and I try to just bring home my meal, man. I just go out there and try and set appointments, sell some jobs, and if I don't catch, I don't eat. So that's what I always tell my guys too. If you ain't killing, you ain't eating. So
You got
that's
that. You got that right. If you wake up the morning of, you don't have anything on your calendar, just go out and knock a door and go get it, right? There's so
yeah.
many sales reps that are so dependent on, leads coming in and being provided a lead, but at the beginning and end of the day, you can create your own lead. You can create your own opportunities. Get out there and knock on a door and see what happens. I think you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, so our guys, and that's strictly what we do is door knocking. So we like I call them my frontline troops. So I have 21 door knockers right now, and that's all they do. And it's very much a culture, but these guys set like 9 to 13 appointments a day. So every single day we got 9 to 13 new appointments coming in. And we don't rely on digital media ads. We don't rely on anything but just tried and true 100% door knock. And that's any money that I would spend in media and advertising, I put out there in spiffs or payroll for our guys.
Let's take a step back for a second because you're obviously finding so much success with door knocking around the country. I don't think everyone does enough of it. A lot of folks say, "Oh, it's just not really wanted in my state or my local area." But at the end of the day, I think it's essential that you put together a door knocking process. But take a step back. I mean, before you found so much success with it, put yourself, I guess, in the boots of someone who just doesn't think door knocking is the way to go. Like, what are some of those reasons or restraints that go through their mind that I think they're afraid of with door knocking, in your opinion?
So I sucked at it. My first 8 months door knocking, I made $3,300, and I had my first kid on the way, and my ex at the time was like, "Why'd you leave a $900 a week job welding to do this?" And they're in my ear constantly. But when I was doing that job, like the top guy was making 80K a year, and when I went to door knocking, like the average guy was making 150 a year. Our top guys were making over 800K a year. So um, what I see is people, they insert the no. They create the problem before the problem's there. So if you can get past the being unconventional, if you can get past any embarrassment, shyness, or anything like that, and just kind of not think too much. I always tell my guys door knocking is just a one trick pony, and that's the complication of it is people try to think too much about it. It's literally get out there and go. And I'd have to say 12 years into it, like when I first get to area, it's like it's almost like exercising. Like you got to loosen up still. So the first few doors, you're like, oh my gosh. I have one guy that's great at it. What he does is he tries to embarrass himself, or it's not a good habit. He tries to make somebody mad or embarrass himself right off the bat. So the rest of the day it's good. It's like jumping in the deep end. But if you can not insert the no and not uh, have any like embarrassment or anything, and just go out there and knock, even if you don't know what you're doing, then that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah. One of the things I learned when I was door knocking, and again, I obviously failed a lot when I first started, but one of the things I learned was let the homeowner speak. They want to talk to someone that's just another person. They don't want someone sitting there selling them, especially cold door knocking, and then have them sit there and talk for 3, 4 minutes about the product they're selling. I always like to start off and ask, when was the last time you got your roof inspected? Because then you're starting to have a conversation. And I think something that a lot of people fail to do is realize that they're just talking to another person that, yeah,
Right.
you're trying to sell them something,
Exactly right.
but you're also trying to create a relationship there. And you have to find that balance. And unless you're trying to actually build a relationship, you're not going to have a lot of success if you're just knocking on doors and just pushing something, a product in their face and hoping that they say yes.
Yep, I would agree to that. Uh, Chris, why do you think door knocking is a better way to success than maybe a paid lead, paying for leads?
Because you're going out there yourself, like you're going out there and not relying on something to fall in your lap to create revenue or to generate any sort of business. So I if you have downtime, then you should just be creating more appointments for your calendar.
Right. Yeah, I would agree to that. I would definitely agree to that. Let's go off the cuff here, Matt. Let's do a little role play if you don't mind.
Yeah,
We'll go.
absolutely.
We'll go. Matt. Matt's the homeowner. Chris, you're knocking on that door. Let's go. Let's see how it goes.
All right.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing today? I don't know if you've seen me out here disturbing your neighbors, but I'm Chris. We're just out here fixing some roofs. I don't know if you seen some of our trucks or the noise we've been creating.
Yeah, I've seen your trucks. I mean, what can I do for you?
Oh, well, I kind of see you got a little spot up there on your roof. Their underlayment's starting to look a little. It's starting to deteriorate a bit. Have you guys ever had that looked at?
Oh man, if I did, it must have been 10 years ago. I don't know. I moved in here 15 years ago and haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, it's not really an exciting thing. A lot of people don't really pay much mind to it until you start raining inside your living room, and then it becomes a problem. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a little bit busy right now, and I don't mean to be bothering you, but we're out here setting up appointments. I have a few guys in the area. If you have 20, 30 minutes to spare, we can at least go up there, see what you're looking at. I know you guys might not be in the market to buy, but at least we can kind of create a budget. So you can either look at something now. We do have some financing options available, or in the future, you at least know kind of what you have coming in store.
Yeah, that sounds great, but I don't really want to have to pay for someone to come look at my roof right now.
Oh yeah, I hate to use the word free, but yeah, we do these inspections. That way, it's how we generate business. We kind of show people what's going on. It is no money out of pocket to have it inspected, but I I I like to tell you we're not human brochures, but we go up there, we kind of assess the damage. I understand you might not be in the market today to buy, but at least you can kind of understand what's going on with the roof. You can take advantage of us being out here, maybe create a budget, and who knows, maybe it is something that is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hop on there and go, by all means, go ahead.
Done deal.
Yeah,
Let's roll.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, no, and like I said, I like that you were talking to me like I was just another human being. You know, you were very casual, and I think that's probably why you have so much success, you and all of your guys, because you're going there just trying to help the homeowner out. You're not really forcing them to buy anything. You're just trying to help them out, and then seeing where it goes with that relationship. So I think you kind of talked in it at first. How do you get over your fear of door knocking? And you said you wanted to embarrass yourself, but that's easier said than done. You have 20, 21 guys door knocking. How do you help them get over their fear? And especially, someone who's new to door knocking, what would you tell them how to get, how they can get over their fear of just cold knocking on doors?
What I do is I embarrass myself in front of them. So I go up there. I see it's not that big of a deal. Like these people are not going to know you tomorrow. And anytime, like even when the actual rep goes out there, so we have setters that set appointments, and then we have sales reps who go to the appointments, kind of standard issue. But even those reps, they ask, so who knocked on your door? And I would have to say 8 times out of 10, they don't even remember who it was, who came to the door. So I tell people, these people ain't gonna remember you past this door. Like you're fine. I had one guy, he couldn't get over that, and he kept trying to. He was ingrained like overcome the objection, and he was talking to an accountant in North Scottsdale. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scottsdale at all. It's a very swanky area out here. But this guy was an accountant. He's talking, and my guy's trying to go tit for tat with him on information, and I knew this guy wasn't buying. So I mean, I wouldn't do this, but I just farted as loud as I could, and I looked over at my guy, and I go, "Now what are you gonna do?" And and he's like, "Oh my god!" And that guy was not chill about it. So I kind of just burned the door down, but I wanted him to see like, hey, the worst thing that could happen, like nothing's gonna come out of it.
Right.
You know, like you're fine. The next door, I think we set a couple that day, but it broke him out of his shell. So sometimes people need shock value. Sometimes people just need to see you do it first, but that guy needed shock value because he was so pent up and wound up tight. But I don't have a set plan. I just know how to read the situation.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think something that's important to touch on as well is the law of large numbers. Jordan Belfort, I'm sure everybody's heard of him, the Wolf of Wall Street. Not a big fan of him and his morals of what he stands for, but there are some cool lessons that he's brought to the table. And one of the things he said when he was growing up and he was door knocking, learning how to sell, he was selling meat packages, steaks and whatnot. And he said he would go out from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. He would knock until his knuckles were bloody, just until he could get one sale. And that's, if you realize, like, all you need is 1 to 2 people to say yes to actually sell a roof, and that could make your whole week. Uh, it's intimidating when you get shut down 2, 3, 4 hours, but all you need is 1, 2, 3 people saying yes a day, and that adds up. And you're going to make a lot of money if you just stay persistent at it, right? We pay for lead gen services all the time, and I'm sure not a lot of those leads coming in are fantastic leads. But when you're going to someone's house, those are great leads when someone says yes, because there's a real product and you already know what you're looking at. So I mean, talk a little bit about that. And when you go out into door knocking for 8 hours a day, what do those numbers start to look like per week, per month?
So yeah, I think I touched on that a little bit. Yeah, our guys are setting anywhere from 9 to 13 appointments a day. So some people they might get their one a day. Our guys, the typical day is they come in to our office about 11 a.m. We have training from 11 to 12. They clock out and they have from 12 to 1 to go to area and get lunch. And then from 1 to about 6 o'clock is when they go out there and door knock. So some guys they get their one lead. They have a minimum of 5 leads a week to get, but they get their one lead a day. But I have a few guys that get 3 or 4 leads a day, and those guys are the ones that are constantly getting sales. Right. So those like that whole 80-20 rule. So there's 20% of the guys making 80% of the revenue, but the it is effective to knock an insane amount of hours to make an insane amount of money. But what's equally effective is learning from the failures. So when I have guys who have crappy days, their perseverance, and then they come back the next day, those guys seem to be more proud of themselves than the guy who sets 3 or 4 appointments because they're mentally getting better.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's talk about a 6 or an 8-pack. Do your guys do that? No 6-pack, like when you're doing the project at the home, and then you're going to go ahead and scour the other 6 houses around that.
No, I have one sales rep who will knock next door, and that's about it. Our sales reps out here, their days are pretty busy. So I got like 4 sales reps, and they're usually running a couple of appointments a day.
Sure. So Matt, you got to have some experience with that. With a 6.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
we have a lot of success with that when essentially someone was running a roof and it was easy for us, especially a few years ago because I would never run a roof. My father never wanted me on a roof, but he would say, look, we have some of our sales guys putting up a roof in this neighborhood, and all you have to do is walk around the neighborhood, knock on the door and say, we're doing your neighbor's house right there. And most of the time the neighbors everybody knows each other in the neighborhood. And so, hey, we're doing your neighbor's roof right now. We're just offering free inspections in case you want to just see what your options are. Because a lot of times what happens is when you knock on the neighbor's door, they say, oh, well, if John Smith is getting his roof done and he trusts you guys, then I might as well trust you guys. Go ahead and get on there. And so
probably already did his due diligence, checked the reviews, did all of that, right?
Right. And the important thing, and Chris, I'm sure you probably have gotten leads off of this, when the neighbors see, one, how organized the roofing company who's doing the roof is, how respectful they are, and how quickly they're doing it, how you present yourself as a company when you're actually running the job, people are always watching. And when you have CR3 across your trucks and across your shirts, that means something. So when they watch you actually conduct these jobs, well, hey, if I need a new roofer, I'm just going to call these guys. My neighbors are already trusted them. They did a great job, and I love the way they conducted themselves. So that alone, plus door knocking and being respectful, to me, I always had a lot of success with that.
Yeah, I get about 20% of my jobs from the neighbors. Like, hey, can you come look at my house while you're here? So I've had roofs being installed, and the next door neighbor be like, hey, and can you do mine next? And the sales rep will just drop what he's doing and go out there and sign them up while the roof's going on.
Exactly. It's such like a soft introduction when you're knocking on someone's door and you're already doing a project and you're just being respectful. Hey, just want to let you know my guys are going to be in your yard. If anything blows over, here's my phone number. Please contact me so I can escalate that pretty quickly. But it just leaves so much opportunity for you to have a great conversation because now their guard is down, right? You're supposed to be there. You're not just showing up at their door unannounced, right? Like you're doing the neighbor's yard, the neighbor's project. So, and you're going out of your way to give me some contact information to make sure if I have a problem, I know who to contact. So I think that 6-pack is essential on every single project that you're doing. Because again, it's just adding to the numbers game, right? What does it take? Maybe 10, 15 minutes to knock every door around that project, you must do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
one other thing that's important to talk about is your final presentation when you are door knocking. A lot of times they will say no, but you should always leave the property with, okay, have a great day, sir, and with a big smile. Because a lot of the times you leave your flyer and when you walk away, they say, oh, well, at least that guy was respectful. So when they actually need a new roof and need to call a company, oh, well, that guy was actually pretty nice, so I'm going to call him. So I also found that I got a lot of callbacks because I still built the trust. And even though they didn't want the inspection right then and there,
Sure.
that doesn't mean they won't want one 4 months from now.
Yeah, my exit that I always say is, just so you know, that's what we're out here doing. And that's what I always do when I leave too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What piece of advice do you have for the folks that are out there that aren't knocking doors? Speak on that a little bit, but also, if you can, just because we're running a little short on time here, but talk about, I guess, again, you're coming from solar, making a huge transition, a huge impact in the roofing game, how that may differ or is the same with door knocking, and just what people should think about as far as the ROI on door knocking.
So I would the transition has been a lot easier. I think it's solar is so played out and throughout the nation. To a lot of people, to start a solar dealer program, like where you can just sell solar and send it to electrical contractors like us to install it, you need nothing. So these guys are getting classrooms of kids and flashing money in front of them and sending these kids out to quasi harass people. So in Arizona, door knocking, you get a lot of you get hundreds of no's for every yes. But also solar, there's 4 or 5 different facets to it besides just the work. I got to deal with the municipality, the zoning, the utility, the 3 or 4 inspections throughout. It's a building project. So I transitioned into roofing because I would train roofers how to upsell for solar while they were there, because it almost goes hand in hand. So for since the past 6 years, I got paid on the side to teach solar companies and roofing companies how to sell solar. And then one company insisted I learn how to sell roofs so I can learn how to transition to sell solar, because they were they were kind of lazy and didn't want to do it themselves, but they didn't want me to interrupt their process.
Yeah.
So they're like, learn how to sell roofs so you can do this. So I did that. I was like, dude, this is miles easier, and the ROI is it's pretty similar. So I think my take home is a little bit over. I think I'm a little bit under 28% is my profit margin. So solar projects are like 60-70,000 on average out here in Arizona, because we need way bigger systems out here. But I would sell maybe 3 or 4 jobs a month, where roofs, I think this branch is 120 days old, and I'm selling 2 or 3 a week right now. And I used to have 4 or 5 people. I now have 21. So January is going to be the first month we're operating with 21 guys. So I imagine our revenue is going to be in the millions for January.
Yeah, man. You guys have definitely hit the ground running. Again, I think your experience coming from that solar game has transitioned well into this roofing game, with the profit margins being just tremendous. But I think, again, your methodology and how you approach and attack business is going to win you business for a long time to come. You guys are doing fantastic, and yeah, you're just implementing the systems in the process, but also taking things that you learned in the past and doing it your own way, which is obviously working. So keep up the good work there.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I always, the biggest mistakes are the biggest learning experiences. So one thing I always do with my guys, I've had a 2 or 3 huge mess ups, and I didn't berate them. I use it as a learning experience, and that gained me a smarter, more loyal guy out of it too. So that's one thing that I don't see a lot happening when I dealt with a lot of business owners is I don't have an ego and I don't have greed. So I do the shit work. So I do the ground level stuff and I do it better than they do. So that's what gets people to follow me pretty well.
Awesome. Well, Chris, we really appreciate your time and you coming on this podcast. We hope we can have you back within the next few months, follow
Yeah.
up with everything. And if you guys are listening, give Chris a call if you're in Arizona. To the listeners, again, thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, share. We really appreciate the support. Lester, it was always great seeing you, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
To the moon. Let's go.